Hello. Today I'm going to introduce you to Shadowsworn Haunts. This will give you a lot of the different tools to tell a horror story or a ghost investigation story like The Conjuring, Insidious, Poltergeist. In this game, you are an expert of some sort. So you are a paranormal investigator, or you're an ex-priest, or you lead up a club in the high school. Whatever it is, you are someone who definitely understands the paranormal, and people turn to you to figure out what's happening in their own lives. On the right side of this page is kind of how the game gets set up. So the first stage is called Darkness Calls, and you'll roll on these tables to determine what sort of event someone will approach you with and where it is. So, you might be starting your adventure in your clubhouse or in a bar, and you'll roll up on these tables to discover what it is you're dealing with. So just for fun, let's go ahead and roll 1d10 to see what an adventure could be. That is a possession. And then as we discover where it is a possession in an empty carnival. So you can start to think and imagine, all right, there's a carnival that exists out in the corner of the woods. Somebody got possessed there. So maybe there were kids who broke into the carnival. One person hasn't been the same since. Maybe one person is still lost in that location. And you could very easily imagine somebody coming to you to discover what to do about that and how to save this person. And just for fun, while we're here, I'll jump back to it. But most of these locations of carnival, campground, all those locations actually have generators elsewhere in the book. So if we were to generate a carnival, for example, here's a table right here, and we could just roll 2d6s on that and determine the name of the carnival. So it could be called the Clownland. So the carnival is called Clownland. And that also exists for the campgrounds, estates, different locations that you'll find, just to give you something to get you started. One of the things about solo gameplay is oftentimes you're stretching your imagination to think of people, places, things, events. And that's what I'm trying to help you with in Shadowsworn. So you'll have names for different locations. You'll have everyday names for characters that you'll encounter. You'll have oracles for actions and themes, just like Ironsworn would have. So you can kind of combine them to your heart's delight. We have rolled on these tables. We kind of understand where we are and what we're dealing with a little bit. But before we start the investigation, we'll conduct some research. So research means we've talked to our primary person who's invited us to figure out this investigation. Perhaps there's some people in their lives that have already encountered what is happening. So maybe there's a witness to the events. Maybe there's somebody else that was with us that knows what's happening, that's scared to talk to people. We can conduct an investigation and discover things like, for example, if it was a house location, like on the right-hand side there, which room was the most haunted, or was there an object in there that was kind of charged with a paranormal energy? Those tables will help you with that. In addition, you could decide maybe there's somebody who knows the past of this place. So maybe somebody who has land records where that carnival existed, and that person could tell us the strange history of that place. So for example, if we rolled a D10 on our strange history table, maybe that would tell us that that carnival site was of religious significance. So in the past, there was something religious that used to happen there, or people would gather there. Just something to get the conversation started inside your mind. If you talk to a witness, that witness might be able to tell you what sort of paranormal activity happened there. So maybe they noticed that people or objects were possessed. And then maybe even they saw something out of the corner of their eye of what this thing looked like, or this is a 10, so what we saw was shadowed in there. As we go into each location, we have this set of tables for our places. So In the case of the carnival, we have a D10 list of different locations to explore in there. And then right between them, we have an atmosphere roll, which is a D6, which could mean what we're seeing or hearing or noticing as we enter each one of those locations. More locations here: housing complexes, schools, factories. And then your character will have specific gear that they'll bring along with them. Some will be personal items, like the list at the top. It could be anything you want to bring. And you will be bringing specialized equipment along with you. The specialized equipment are these really cool oracles that you can use. So there's a spirit board where you can mix action and themes. Imagine you're using a Ouija board and coming up with some sort of name or location or a thing that happened. This is a great thing to roll on. It also has illustrations along the side that are very tiny and hard to make out intentionally, so that you can kind of roll a d20 and see if there's any more of the story you can start to piece together. Right below that, we have our EVP recorder. It's a voice recorder. So you would set that in a location where you know you had a hit, and suddenly words will start to come out. So in this case, let's go ahead and roll it just for fun. If you were to hit that up, it's 1d6 and 2d10s. So this message you would receive here is: others will discover the text. So there's something about a book, something written down, a record, something that's been hidden. So that's what we're hearing mysteriously recorded on this device. We also have an EMF detector. The EMF detector is basically an oracle to tell you how likely things are happening. So you could use that to see if there's paranormal activity in a room. If you're uncertain about something, yes or no, there's a chance that using this will get you in the direction you want to go. And then lastly, we have a cameras and recording equipment table here. So you can see this looks like a film negative. It's the same sort of thing as the spirit board perimeter. If you get a hit on paranormal activity, you can take a picture, and what shows up on the picture could very well be a clue for what you're trying to discover. So let's say we rolled a d20 on that one. That's a 17. Definitely looks like a fly or some sort of insect, so that could tell me that there's rot or a corpse or something kind of disgusting, some story that I could lead into that direction and start working that into the fiction. This game also uses an entity clock. So you would normally make that about an 8-piece pie. And every time the game asks you to advance the entity clock, you would fill in a piece of that. And as you get closer to the end, the entity will definitely come after you. Entity advances table, you're going to see that in just a moment as we go through some of the delve the paranormal moves. And then end the fight is just like in Ironsworn, where you get to a point narratively where you feel like it's the end of the story, and you roll against the progress to see how well you did completing the challenge. How to play. So Shadowsworn uses Ironsworn moves to resolve the dice throws. So just as a reminder, you roll 1d6 plus a stat, and you roll it against 2d10s as your challenge dice. So if you beat both of the challenge dice numbers, you've had a strong hit. If you beat one of the numbers, it's a weak hit. And if you lose on both those numbers, it's a miss. And the main move you're going to do, and this is the move that'll take you through the entire adventure, is Delve the Paranormal. It is a modified Delve mechanic from Ironsworn Delve. And it tells us when you investigate for paranormal activity within a haunted site, roll 1d10 to determine your location, roll 1d6 and add it to your atmosphere reading. Envision your surroundings, then roll 1d10 to complete your challenge dice roll. Add plus wits and interpret the results. So why don't we just do that real quick on the carnival, since that is our setting that we had over here. I'm going to get my dice rollers out again. And the instructions say roll 1d10, so we're rolling on this bottom right category. And it is a 3, so it tells us that there's a mess tent. There's a place where people gather to eat in this area, and it's kind of old and rotting and decrepit and falling apart, splintered tables. Then we roll an atmosphere check, which is we hear insects buzzing in this area. So it is definitely molded food, rotting things, and we hear the din of insects buzzing all about inside this long abandoned mess tent. And then finally, we add our last D10 to see how we did on this move. So what's fun is, like, instead of just doing one challenge roll, we're kind of using that to tell the story and get us into the place that we're delving. So we have a 3-8 against a 4. And let's just imagine that my character has +3 wits. So that's a 7, right? It beats the 3, but it doesn't beat the 8. So that is a weak hit. If it was a strong hit, I would feel the presence of the entity, I would add momentum or mark progress, then use specialized gear. So it tells you when to use specialized gear. For the fiction, you really feel the entity's presence there. You know you'll capture something on an EVP or a photograph. On a weak hit, roll D100 on the table below. And on a miss, we would reveal a danger. And those reveal a dangers are over here. So let's say it's a weak hit. We'd roll D100 on the table, 2 D10s. 98, wow. Mark progress twice and reveal a danger. Okay, well that's pretty good. So if I had my character sheet, I would mark my progress 2 times. Pretty outstanding that I hit that. And then I'd reveal a danger over here. Let's go ahead and roll for our danger. 6-9, right here. A piece of specialized gear is lost. Remove it from your inventory. So you basically have to find a way in the fiction to lose a piece of your gear. So you lose your camera or your EMF detector, one of those specialized pieces. Delve the Paranormal is the primary move, and truly you could probably do most everything with just this move. But as you're in those locations, you can also do regular moves like you would do in Ironsworn. Ironsworn has a ton of moves, and they're all really exciting, and they have interesting mechanical advantages. For Shadowsworn, I've broken them down into 3 major moves. There's an engage move, which is when you ask questions, search for clues, or conduct an investigation. There's an encounter move, which is anytime you commit to an action. So I'm going to move this way, I'm going to jump over here, I'm going to try to knock this door down. If you react to a threat or you face danger, that's your encounter move, and it has its own pluses and minuses in there. And an endure move is dealing with mental stress or physical harm. So it's kind of telling you how you can deal with it. Sometimes you can shake it off and get your health back. Sometimes you'll just press on and lose a little momentum. So those are the 3 moves: engage, encounter, endure. On the right-hand side, we have a pay the price table. So anytime that a move asks you to pay the price, which if you played Ironsworn, you know that happens quite a bit, you can either just make whatever makes sense happen, or you can roll on this table. And I've rewritten this table to be a little more slanted towards the dark and the supernatural. This is just a summary again of the game flow. So your initial contact or the darkness calls moment, the research, swearing the vow, and then delving into the paranormal, and then ending the fight once your investigation is complete. We have our oracles here for action and theme. So, 47, abduct, let's just inverse that to 74, flesh. So there's some sort of creature or thing that's trying to steal flesh, abduct flesh. So again, these action and oracle themes have been taken away from a little bit more of that fantasy setting and put into a darker, more thematic setting here. That's a quick look at Shadowsworn. Soon we'll be back with character creation and a little bit of actual play.